I've been teaching for 16 years. I started teaching in one of those alternative teaching programs where they were going to teach you everything you need to know about how to be a teacher in one summer. Yeah. I should have known there was a problem with this. I should have realized something was wrong when my literacy professor taught the class by putting copies of the textbook on the overhead projector and reading them out loud to us. It's like, really? You're going to teach me how to help kids who can't read by reading out loud to me? That really happened. But so September happened a lot faster than ever before. At least it felt that way to me. And I got a job in the local zone school where I grew up. I never went to that school. I was terrified of that school. That school had a reputation for gangs and violence and drugs, and I would do anything to not go there. So I studied after school every day, and I placed into Bronx Science, and I got the heck out of there. My friends were not as lucky, and so I considered this job like kind of my ability to redeem. Like, I was gonna have an opportunity to be part of the solution. I was gonna go in and provide the highest quality education in a rough neighborhood. I was full of hope and optimism. 1 week into teaching at that school, I was really running short on hope and optimism. I was looking around like, you cannot be serious. This is a practical joke, right? There's gonna be like a candid camera somewhere. I'm 22 years old, and I'm in a classroom with 34 teenagers all by myself. What am I supposed to do? So there was a kid in this class who was 19 years old, and he reminded me every day of how close in age we were. And he would come up to me and say, yo, miss, if we were in DR, you would be my wife. And I'd be like, ew! Ah! But I kept this like stone face, so strict. Sit down, do your do now. You have 2 minutes left, the do now's not done yet. Well, they sat down, they didn't really do many do-nows, and they talked about whatever they wanted. I spent pretty much every night up until midnight or more planning lessons, and then the next day only doing 25% of the lesson. And then I go into my AP after like the first month, and I was like, what am I gonna do? Help me. And she said, oh, don't worry. You know what? We don't really expect those kids to pass the test anyway. Wow, she actually said that out loud? Like that's like totally defeats the purpose of me being here. So the next month, forget what that AP said, I decided I was gonna take them to the school-based library, and I was gonna teach them how to cite sources and write research papers. And I'd never taken any of the kids out of the classroom before, so I was super nervous. I was gonna walk downstairs with 34 kids, and we did it. I got every single one of them into the library and into a seat, and I was feeling pretty good about myself. I was doing a good job. And the librarian started talking, and I realized, oh shit, this is really boring. The librarian is defining plagiarism. I look around, I'm like, oh. Then out of nowhere, wham! One student grabs another student by the back of his head and smashes his face into the computer monitor. And this was 16 years ago, so I'm talking really big computer monitors. The computer monitor didn't break, the kid's face broke, and there was blood. And the blood was pooling up between the keys and the keyboard, and all the other kids went from half asleep to maniacal, crazy creatures jumping and clawing at each other, and they jumped over chairs and they screamed at each other, and they were like, oh yeah, fuck him up! And I couldn't see anymore. Now it was just this writhing mass of kids piling on top of each other. I ran down the hall to the safety agents. A pack of safety agents came and broke up the kids and took them away. And I was told to stay in the library. I don't know what happened to the rest of my class. I guess somebody covered my class, but I was there alone. And the library was eerily quiet, and the chairs were toppled over. The handouts I had worked so hard to make were just fluttered all over the library like confetti, and the blood was still there on the screen. I had to talk to the police, the EMT, the ambulance, the principal, the school safety agents. I had to repeat the story to the dean. I had to write an official statement. And every time I told the story, every time I was like, this was my fault. Why didn't I see this coming? Why didn't I know that there was something gonna happen? In this state, I had to go to my college class. So it was time to go. I walked to the subway in a trance, and I got on the downtown 1 train during rush hour, squeezed in with everybody. And I really didn't want to go. I would have done anything else, like drink a lot at a bar, or go beat up a punching bag in a gym, or go home and cry, or do all three of them, but not go to college class. But I went anyway. And I don't even remember what the lesson was about, but the professor was playing a video. I was late, so the video was already on. The professor was playing a video, and it was like a students in a Colorado classroom. There were probably 20 white kids sitting in desks, and they were taking notes. The teacher was teaching, and it was so pristine and so calm. How could there be only 20 kids? Where are all the rest of the kids? Why are the desks so clean? Do they spend like $1 million on every classroom in this school? Did they pay students to raise their hands and behave so politely? What is this shit? I looked around the room, I looked at my classmates, and they were my friends. I went to class with them all summer, and I thought they were good people, and I thought somebody else should be getting mad about this, right? Not just me. How could we just sit here and watch this? Like, what? My class doesn't look like this. This isn't gonna help me. So I got up and I screamed, "This is ridiculous. This is not going to help me. This is nothing like my classrooms where these kids are not my kids. This strategy isn't gonna work for me. And if you wanna tell me that this strategy is gonna work, then you need to show me some statistics. Like, we're all scientists in this room right now, right? You're gonna push this pseudo bullshit on me? Like, I'm just supposed to swallow it and do it because you say it's gonna work? That is not my classroom." And I look around the room. Well, that's what I thought I said. You know what? It's been 16 years, so I really thought I said these things, and I'm like, what about the variables like class size and income and parental education levels and poverty and blah, 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 and all this stuff? But what I actually said was probably like, this is bullshit and it's a fucking waste of my time. And I grabbed my bags and I stood up and I stormed out of the room before anybody could say anything to me. And I never went back. So the next, I guess, I don't know, after a couple of weeks of realizing, well, I'm gonna fail, I never go back, I went to go meet with the dean of academics, and she told me, you gotta stay in the program. Despite your grievances, you gotta stay in the program. The kids need to see teachers who look like you. And while I don't disagree with her on that, I also couldn't stomach just dealing with the fake education in that program and going along with the charades of like, this is actually gonna work. And I was really kind of disappointed in my classmates. I thought like, you know, I know you're like new right out of college, and a lot of them were not from New York, but they were all just trying to like jump through hoops, get their certification. Maybe some of them honestly were just trying to get their college forgiveness, their college loans forgiven. But I couldn't deal with it. I didn't want anything to do with it. So I dropped the program. It ended up costing me a lot more money. It took a lot of time. And I had to change jobs or change schools, not by choice. But in the long run, it was a lot more meaningful. So now, I mean, after 16 years, I actually have lived in the same neighborhood where I've taught for most of that time, and the people working in my local supermarket are pretty much all my former students in the library, maitre d's and waiters at the bars and the restaurants that I go to. They're all my former students, and I talk to them. A lot of them have kids of their own now, and they're so unhappy. Their parents came here, most of them are immigrants, so that they could have a better life. And they graduated high school and they went to college, but they're just punching the clock, collecting the check, living day by day, and not really getting, like they feel like there's any meaning to it. About 3 months ago, a former student of mine, I'll call him Jose, he used to be the top kid in my AP class, and he scored well enough on the AP exam to get college credit. And that was really important because he's undocumented. They don't give undocumented kids financial aid. He had to pay for every college credit out of his own pocket. He's lost. He tells me he feels stuck. He feels like he's done everything he's supposed to do, and he feels cheated. And I had to tell him, like, you can't just get the degree. You can't just do the program because you're supposed to. So I'm just wondering, like, I'm supposed to be a master teacher. I am. I have the title, master teacher. I know my shit. I can teach my curriculum really well. I know the content really well. I have great pass rates. I've congratulated thousands of kids that have crossed the stage at graduation. I've seen kids super excited about their college acceptance letters. I've got 90% pass rates on Regents like every year. I've thought that they were successful because they passed the test. I thought they were successful because they graduated, and I thought they were successful because they got accepted to college. I thought I was successful because I got them to pass the test. But now I'm not so sure. I'm really questioning, like, what else could I have done? What other meaningful thing am I supposed to teach them to help them to be successful? And I don't think that we're doing that necessarily. I'm not really sure how. Like, you have to find purpose in your life, and you're not going to find it necessarily by the time you graduate high school. But how do we even begin thinking about that and helping students get there? I don't have it figured out. I don't have an answer to tell them, but I feel like it's a question that's worth exploring, and I just don't know how I can help students thrive as people, not just survive, not just get a check. And I'm really questioning how to have faith and belief in an education system that's constantly setting up teachers and students for failure. Thank you.